Hi there. In this short video, I'd like to share a recent experience I had when teaching some international students that were doing a minor, doing business with China. And as part of this minor, they had to prepare several presentations and reports. And I noticed that in one of their presentations, they had used Xi Jinping's pictures in a funny way. And they had also used the Chinese national anthem as some background music, and to them that was probably just some harmless fun to just spice up their presentation a bit. But since they were used in a slightly ridiculing way, you can imagine that to some other students, their fellow students from China, this might not be considered all that funny. And since cultural sensitivity is an important part of the things they need to learn in this minor if they want to go and do business with China, I decided to talk to them about cultural sensitivity. So in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to share the thoughts I had and which I shared with them at the end of that lecture. I hope you will also find them valuable. Thank you. There's a lot of cultural differences between Chinese people and people from the West. One thing is, for instance, in the blue side in this slide, you'll see that leaders, whether it's your manager, whether it's the CEO of your company, whether it's Mark Rutte, whether it's your king or queen, are not considered to be much more important than every individual, because we think quite equally, with equal rights. In China, leaders, whether it's that CEO of that company or whether it's Xi Jinping, are considered to be much more important. So they're not only considered to be very important and very powerful, but they also have a lot of status and quite often a lot of respect from the people. So one thing that we should keep in mind is that we in the West might be very common to making fun of our leaders. Now, if you go to Lucky TV, you see all kinds of clips that make fun of our king. But it's very different if you do that in China. So in some of the work you guys have been doing, I saw some pictures of Xi Jinping. Now, keep in mind that especially for your fellow Chinese students, they might be much more sensitive to making fun of their leaders. And maybe it's not making fun of, but do know that these have they think very different about showing respect to their leaders. The same thing, of course, also goes for, I saw that somebody incorporated the national anthem. Now, we don't care much about our national anthem in the Netherlands. I think that I probably couldn't go further than 4 lines in the national anthem myself, but in China, it's very different. The children in Chinese schools, they sing the national anthem when the flag is raised, and they do flag raising ceremonies. So there's a lot of pride in those symbolisms. So do be very careful when you incorporate those things, which might seem very funny to you, but in certain cases, it might not be funny to the people that you are working with together in groups. Now, at the same time, we in the West much more often, if we don't like something, if we think I'm not glad, I'm angry or sad, we quite often show that. But in China, you might think you're making a joke, but at the same time, your fellow students might not show that they don't actually think it's funny, or they actually think that it's disrespectful, but they might not show it. So it's good that at this point, some of you might be making this mistake, but because you are doing a minor, doing business with China, this is also a very, very important aspect. Showing respect to the people in another country, even though you don't have to agree with Xi Jinping or have to agree with the policies of the Communist Party, you're still doing business with them. And you still should take into consideration other people's feelings, and that they might hold leaders and national anthems and stuff like that in a much higher respect than we might do. So, and it might be offensive to them. So it's good that you make this slight mistake now. It probably was not meant in any bad way, but do keep this in mind. It's a learning, so you don't do this. Take the Chinese people seriously And you can find a lot of business cases of brands like Dolce & Gabbana that make very big mistakes when they didn't take the Chinese seriously and got punished for it in the sales of their products.